Hi, I'm Jon Finn,
I'm Steve Marchena.
and we're here to talk to you about an event that we've got planned for March 6th and March 20th at Motherbrook in Dedham, which is 123 High Street, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock,
That's
I
right,
think.
yeah.
So the event is called Guitar-Karaoke. So what's Guitar-Karaoke? Guitar karaoke is very much like a regular karaoke event, except it's guitars instead of singers. There's a lot of open mic blues jams around, and there's a lot of great players playing blues, but there's also a lot of great players playing other styles that aren't blues. Now, the problem with doing stuff that's not blues is that sometimes it's a little bit more involved to get the rhythm section parts happening. So, after watching YouTube, I kind of had this idea that, there's all these kids uploading videos of themselves playing guitar in their bedroom to backing tracks that they've downloaded off the internet. So, my idea is simple. Download a bunch of backing tracks, make a bunch of backing tracks, keep them on a computer, and then invite people to come and jam if they want. This is Steve Marchena. He's been a longtime friend of mine for, oh boy, I don't know,
30 years.
30 years. And we've I don't think we've ever played in a band together, but we spent a lot of time jamming together. And my favorite thing is that just that interaction. Between people when they play music together, the interaction that happens when you play in front of a live audience. So that's kind of what we're hoping to bring to the table here, is an opportunity for people who might want to play some other things other than blues, and you can bring your own backing tracks. You can use our backing tracks if you want to, or you can just play solo if you want to. It can be any style. The only thing is, it's only for guitar players, and that's only has to do with equipment and space limitations. So, Steve came to one of the guitar karaoke events that I did a little while ago. Tell me about what that was like.
It was awesome. There was a couple things you said right there that I think we could clarify. That if you wanted to play blues, you can play blues, but it's just more expansive. You could play, could we say we could play any style of music, where the guitar is a central theme. I also think there was some singing going on there, but it's the guitar is a central theme. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. Yeah.
It was awesome. I'd say in a certain way it was a cross between an open mic and a master class, right? Because I think everybody that was there learned something. You can go and you could treat it like an informal concert. Somebody wanted to go and just listen and learn and just enjoy the music. You could do that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that some of the advertising that we've done sort of makes it sound like you have to come and play. You don't have to come and play. You can just come and listen. But you can come and play. And in particular, Steve and I have talked about this a lot, and both of us kind of agree that the best thing we can do is to provide a circumstance where anybody that wants to come will have the opportunity to come and play. We're kind of not in a place where we want to judge how well or how badly somebody's doing. What's important is that you come and play.
Absolutely. And I'd say one thing about Jon that's really awesome is that he can really just say things to you that you can learn a lot just by Jon giving. I'll give you an example. There was a jam that we were doing, and Jon might have said, "Hey, play a note on this string in the second half of the tune." And so there is certainly is an educational component if you want it. And then I'd like to say that you're really good at reading the person that you're talking to, and giving them some ideas. I'll tell you, the fact that that Jon is a master guitarist and a master educator, and if you play guitar and you want to be better than you are, you'd be foolish not to come to this event. Really, really. But then if you just want to play in front of people, you'd be foolish not to come. And if you just want to listen to a lot of people play guitar and talk about guitars, I think that's another thing that you don't necessarily have at every concert, is that there's some discussion that goes on. It's fair to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, when I was growing up, there was several music stores within a 2-mile radius of where I lived. And anytime I wanted to go talk to guitar players or hang out with musicians, I could just go to the music store. And the music stores at the time, they would kind of let you come in and, kind of hang out and look at some of the sheet music, or, gawk at some of the guitars, or, twiddle around with some of the amplifiers. And as long as you were cool and you didn't make too much noise, they'd pretty much let you hang out all you want. And that, the people behind the counter would kind of get to know you. And other people would come in, and those music stores back in the day were, at least in my opinion, an important social gathering central. And that's something you don't see as much. I mean, let's face it, most of us are buying our gear from places like Guitar Center, or maybe some of the websites online, like either Sam Ash or Musician's Friend or Sweetwater, or one of those, and they're great resources, and that's not to down them, but the thing that that none of those accomplish is that social gathering element of it. So, I've been sort of feeling like that there's a lack of sense of community among musicians, and particularly guitar players, because there's so many of us. I mean, everywhere you turn, somebody plays guitar. I was in Nashville, I want to say, 15 years ago, and I got into the cab, and the guy driving the cab played guitar, and he was telling me about his Martin, and then I get up to the bellhop over at the hotel, and the guy, taking my luggage, he's asking me about my guitars. It turns out he plays guitar. And then, the chef at dinner that night, he plays guitar. And it's kind of the same thing up here in Boston. Everybody plays guitar. Or a lot of people play guitar, I should say. And there are fewer and fewer opportunities to develop that. So that's something I'm hoping to at least contribute in some small way to. Steve too, and Steve, if you don't know who he is, he's one of these guys who once he gets onto something, he's a shining example of the type of player who just grabs onto something and will just wring out every piece of musical value that it's possibly worth. And then spit it back to you and go kind of like, here's 1,000 different variations on, so that's why I like hanging around with him, because he's a really inspiring player that always pushes me to play better and to do better, and you know what, no matter where you are in your playing, that never hurts. So again, March 16th, March 6th.
March 6th.
And March 20th.
Let me ask you, John, if I'm thinking about, different people that might be watching this video and asking themselves, is guitar karaoke for me? So just a couple of different perspectives, and you let me know if you think it'll be a good fit. If somebody, plays guitar and they're just thinking about putting up a YouTube video of them, jamming to a track or playing a solo piece, would it make sense to say, well, maybe, I'll go and I'll play that in front of an audience? Would that be a good call?
That's absolutely fair. That's a perfect scenario. In fact, bring your camera and film it.
Yes, yeah. What if, say, a guitar player maybe they're recording an album and they're working on, a solo in a certain section, and they want to perform it, but maybe they have some questions, like they want to think, hey, I want to use sweep arpeggios, but I know how to play them, but I don't know how they could fit. Could they go there and maybe ask some questions and apply them right away?
I don't see why not. I mean, anytime anybody asks me a question, I'm going to be more than happy to try to answer to the to the best of my ability. But what I don't, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with, come and see me because I have all the answers. I mean, really, the truth is, I'm just another guy trying to get better at guitar, you know. But what you just said, absolutely. If you're hanging out with other guitar players, and we've got an environment where people are less competitive and more supportive of each other, I think you're going to end up with some great feedback.
Absolutely. And it makes me think about, I know that people will go to the music stores that they do have and just, play through the gear and, just try out their, whatever they're working on. Could those people decide that that's this one day, maybe instead of going and just playing in the guitar store, they might come to Guitar Karaoke and do it in front of an audience? Would that be a good call?
Well, I'll tell you what. It's going to be a much more realistic sensation of playing in front of an audience,
yes,
because you'll be playing in front of an audience.
Right. But I also say the whole group is just very supportive, and I say the group, I mean everybody that's there. It's really cool. You know what? It is playing in front of an audience, but I want to say it's different than if you were to say, "Hey, I'm going to book a show and play all this." It's more casual.
It's way more casual.
Yes,
that's the thing. It's like we don't, it's not going to really feel like a concert,
right?
But it's also hopefully going to be more entertaining than just watching a bunch of people, jam to nothing.
Right. Absolutely.
That's one of the things is that. There's all kinds of levels of players that are going to show up. Some are going to be absolute monsters, and then others are just starting out, and and then the rest are somewhere in between that.
Right.
And that's all good. I welcome it all.
It's so much fun. You should come and check it out. And if you don't play guitar but you love guitar, you definitely want to come check this out. You'll hear all different styles. What if somebody played classical guitar and they just have a piece that they're working on? They don't want a backing track and they just want to play the piece. That's good too.
Oh, you could definitely do that.
Yeah.
Really, anything like that involves guitar.
So you're saying if you are doing anything that involves the guitar, that you should come out and share it with everybody. Yeah, and then you'll benefit from listening to what everybody else is doing.
Well, yeah, there's that too, and if you with enough guitar players in the room, you're going to hear somebody do something that's going to be cool that maybe you hadn't thought of.
Yes, it's inspiring.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, there's kind of a lot to that, and I think that one thing I was just thinking about was just this whole notion. I've heard it said that 10 practice sessions can be often equal to one gig.
Right.
And that's something else too. Is that if you're going to be performing in front of a live audience, it's human nature that you're going to practice it harder.
Absolutely.
And then when you walk away from the experience, you're gonna learn a lot more about the kinds of things that you need to work on.
You said it. We were talking about that earlier. This idea that it's like practicing. If you want to get better, practice. We can agree on that. But on top of that, it's like knowing what you should be practicing. If is sort of this. There can be a disconnect between what you're working on when you pick up your guitar. For example. If you've always wanted to play Bohemian Rhapsody on the classical guitar, but every time you pick up the classical guitar, you play Stairway to Heaven.
Right.
You can play Stairway to Heaven over and over again. It won't get you to Bohemian Rhapsody. But the thing I was going to say is that coming out and playing at this event, I think that when you go and you're playing, and even when you're doing your own gigs or other open mics after that, it's really going to give you some insight into what you want to do to go in the just go in the direction that you're trying to go in.
That's right.
John, again, I'm gonna say John can just say like 3 or 4 words to you. Usually, he's a very generous guy in their compliments. He'll give you like 3 or 4 words in a compliment, but you'll think about that, and it really can revolutionize your playing. If you're looking for that, if you're just looking to come out and jam, there's that. Another component that I think is great is, at the guitar karaoke event that I went to, John says, "Hey, Steve, why don't you play with Rick here?" So, a great guy and a great guitar player that I got to do some jamming with. That never would have happened without this event.
Yeah, true. One of my teachers actually gave me a great piece of advice, and I wanted to share that with you. The advice that he shared with me was play better.
Yes, that is great advice.
Thank you.
Yes.
So March 6th, March 20th, the Motherbrook in Dedham, 123 High Street.
Yes.
2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Get there early. Sign up, come on up and jam with us, or just hang out. So again, I'm Jon Finn.
I'm Steve Marchena.
And we'll see you soon.